Update, am I the a-hole for denying my wife sex? Original post. So I saw a story similar to this, but I want my own advice. So I'm 34 male and my wife is 32 female, and she had our baby girl who is now almost 3. Now our little girl turned 1. I asked my wife if she was ready for sex or any type of physical connection again, since we barely hug and barely cuddle or even kiss in almost a year. Yes, I do understand she was touched out. So a month later, I hired a babysitter to come 2 days a week. One night for date night, and another for my wife to just have the whole day to herself. I still do this. So I attempted to cuddle her, and she rejected it. She told me she didn't want that, so find some other way to get what I need. So that's what I did. I'm not cheating on her. One, because don't have the energy to do that. I mainly bought myself some toys, and I mainly don't need to cuddle. So now, if she wants a kiss, I give her a kiss but nothing more. If she wants a hug, then I'll give her one. And if she wants to cuddle, we don't. Because after I put our child down, I take a shower and go to sleep. We still do our date nights and all of that. She attempted to have sex with me 2 weeks ago, and I asked her nicely if she could stop, as I wanted to get undressed and take a shower. Then she tried to join me in the shower, so I just got out of it and went to the guest room to shower and locked the door. I told her that I was sorry, but I wanted to take my own shower. She said it was okay. So last week I figured she would try again, so I got her some toys. I told her that these are hers and she can use them for whatever pleasure or need she needed. She said she didn't want that and she wanted me. And I told her that was good and all, but at this moment I don't want her. I would like to watch TV. So this week she decided to ask me what's going on and why I didn't want her. I told her that I would have to want her again. I said I'm not saying I don't find you attractive because I do, but I've been almost 4 years without you. So I've learned how to manage myself. For those wondering how is it 4 years, we didn't have sex her whole pregnancy as she didn't want it, which was fine, and my daughter turns 3 in 2 weeks. She asked if I was punishing her. I told her I wasn't. I don't have the energy to punish her. I said that I would work on it, but give me a few weeks to a few months, unless she just wanted me to have sex with her while thinking of something else. She said she would not like that, and I told her for now just use the toys I got her. So I went out with some friends, and one said I wasn't wrong as she has taught me how to live without her touch, and I just need to get used to it again. And one said to just do her and just think about something else, so that way she can have what she wants. Now, I know I'm going to get comments saying, well, how about you take care of a baby, since she's a stay-at-home mom? I can, and I did. She went to the hospital because she got COVID 2 weeks after our child was born, and so I had to take care of our baby alone for almost a month. And then she got it again 3 months later, so then I took care of our baby for 2 weeks. Then, every year for her birthday, I get her a 2-week-long vacation. People would ask, well, is childcare only on her? And I think I said it before, but when I get home, I usually take care of our child at night. So, am I the a-hole though? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Couples therapy like yesterday. If you don't do therapy, then just get divorced for Pete's sake. Too tired is not the right reason to not punish. This sounds like a grudge. 4 years of rejection? This guy could just be over it. It happens. He has new coping skills now. He should probably cut bait, but get therapy for himself so he doesn't go through life like that. I'm a mom, and operating on the assumption is telling is accurate, and I have to wonder what she expected. 4 years is a very long time. That bedroom isn't just dead, it's fossilized. Pregnancy plus almost 3 years old, almost 4 years without intimacy, not even cuddling. 4 years of OP's wife refusing him. Maybe OP wanted sex. Doesn't look like OP wants sex now. Therapy was needed 3 years ago. Now is the wife the one that should work hard, as she is the one that refused OP for almost 4 years. I reckon OP's wife just wants another baby. It will all grind to a halt again once she's conceived. Not the a-hole. The reason I'm going for this and not no a-holes here is because it's been 4 years. If it's been 4 years where you can't even give your partner or spouse a hug or cuddle, then you can't expect to get what you want when you want after those 4 years. Might be a little biased because I had a conversation about this with my partner a couple of weeks ago. We have 3 kids. I understand being touched out, but I got some bad news recently and I couldn't even get a hug. She later told me that she just couldn't be bothered with a hug, so I just stopped being any type of physical with her. Being told you can't have a hug when you're crying by the person you love the most, and later being told it's because they couldn't be bothered, is soul-destroying. You can't ignore basic intimacy for years and expect things to be the same the moment you want that intimacy again. The damage is done. You have to put in the work. I'm not talking sex. Don't have sex if you don't want to have sex. That's absolutely fine. But if you're at the point you're denying your partner a cuddle or a hug for years, what are you expecting? Exactly this. I was married for 21 years, but we only had sex the first 5 years. He came back from Iraq, injured. He stopped holding my hand, stopped hugging or kissing me, stopped cuddling in bed, etc. He had stopped doing those things because he thought it would lead me to think I needed something he couldn't give me. He didn't want to make things harder for me than they already were. It devastated me. I told him I could live without sex, but not intimacy. I wasn't worried about what he couldn't do. I could take care of that need all by myself. I was worried about what he could still do that he wasn't. I needed him to show me that he still loved and cared for me. It was a game changer. We started holding hands again, hugging and kissing, etc. To say that our relationship thrived is an understatement. It brought us closer than ever. He learned that I could be trusted beyond a shadow of a doubt, to never cheat on him and leave him for something that wasn't his fault. I learned that he could be trusted to listen to my concerns and take them seriously. A man that can do that is very sexy to me. It was hell for a few years before we were finally able to come to terms with our new normal. But if it's already there, love will find a way. It's hard work, ain't gonna lie about that, but it can be overcome if both partners really listen to each other and take the necessary steps to fix the problem. My husband passed away in 2019 after a 7-year battle with cancer. He didn't lose that battle because the cancer died when he did, so technically it was a tie. He used to joke, if this thing is taking me down, then I'm taking it with me. I don't regret any of the hell we went through, because we went through it together. The fires of hell forged our bond. It became strong as steel and damn near unbreakable. Do the work, people. I promise you it's worth it. Now for the update. Hello, people. So I'm back to give you all an update. Me and my wife are divorcing. So basically, we had a conversation which ended up arguing, and so I gave her some options. An open marriage, divorce, therapy, or she just lets me wait till my attraction for her came back. She said she would just want an open marriage on her side, which I was fine with. I didn't really care. She got mad I would let other men bed her with my permission. Then she admitted she had been cheating on me, so all of you who said that were right. So I told her that we could go ahead and get a divorce. She was upset and begged and asked how I was going to allow open marriage, but then divorce her because she was cheating. I told her because we never agreed to an open marriage when you were cheating, that's why. I have filed for divorce, and we have been splitting my daughter since she has moved back into some friend's house. So that's an update for you all. Yikes. Yeah, she neglected you by giving all your affection to someone else, but then got mad when you did the same. Withdrawing affection, not the cheating part. Hope the rest of Reddit sees this. All these teenagers jump to giving years of space to the poor overworked spouse. It's all perspective. She wasn't overtouched, she just didn't want the husband. I'm wondering if there will be another update with her pregnant, agreeing with all the Redditors that said she only wanted sex now because she got knocked up by the side dude. DNA test the kid, just for a sure thing. Jesus Christ, man. Just damn. I can't believe how some people are like this. Honestly, I am terrified of marrying anyone now. Like, I am both really inclined to date and create a family, and at the same time just shut down and never want any of that again. Like, just reread the posts and you reply. How messy is this situation? He now has to figure out if his daughter is actually someone else's daughter. To a wife who, 1, cheated with no regard, 2, denied sex to him until he lost attraction, 3, got really upset and did not give him space to work on himself and his attraction to her. 4, was the one who wanted an open marriage. 5, was also the one who got really butthurt that he would let her bed other men. 6, was also the one who bedded other men, with zero regard for whether he would let her do it in the first place. 7, was also the one who victimized herself and started begging. And in the middle of all of it, there is a poor kid who wants nothing but a normal family and love from her parents. Like there has to be a hot room in hell for people like that, and these people really scare me now. On the plus side, I used to think matters are always best resolved between involved parties, with therapy and counseling, with advice as a contingency to the former not working. Now, freaking hell. Imagine where this guy would be if he didn't have you people helping him out. You are all ace. I guess I'm just ranting and terrified though. You just need to be incredibly deliberate and careful in who you tie your life to. I went through the process of dating in a methodical way to find the absolute nicest person that I could. There is no other decision in life that affects your future happiness more than who you choose as a partner. I realized that and didn't take the process lightly. I got therapy, read relationships self-help books, read psychology books, and didn't base my decision on fleeting emotional or physical attraction. In the end, I got the best husband I've ever seen or known. So yes, it is scary, but you can mitigate the risk. Last story. Is it cruel to flirt with another man in front of my husband purposefully? Tom and I have been together for 8 years, married for 2 months. He is handsome, funny, quirky, and a wonderful conversationalist. Just perfect for me, really. We go dancing, jogging, visit galleries, and cook together. He is so sensual and loving. It's astounding, and there's never a dull moment with him. I'm fond of his mom, and he has welcomed my folks as his own family too. We rarely argue most of the time, except on one topic. Tom had a close friend who, on multiple occasions, he's described as his best friend. Let's call her Julia. Originally, Tom tried to ask her out years ago before he met me, but she turned him down. They bonded over work. They had back and forth that seemed impenetrable, as whenever I tried to join in, Julia would give me these droll blank stares. She was somewhat flirtatious with Tom, stroking his biceps when he flexed it, suggesting they should work out together. She also made somewhat insensitive comments that have really upset me. Whenever I tried to bring this up, Tom hand-waved it as banter, that I was overthinking, insisting that it was in good faith, but I was never so sure. I tried to chat to Julia one day when Tom left the room, and she just muttered, "I hate small talk," and started scrolling on her phone. Another time I was talking to her, she just muttered, throughout the entire conversation in a very bored tone, and demonstratively yawned. The final straw was when she escalated her behavior from immature jabs to a prank that was primarily done to humiliate me. It didn't physically hurt, but it was emotionally devastating in a way that caused so much hassle that me and Tom had to go to marriage counseling for it. He also more or less stopped talking to Julia because of it. At first, he was really defensive and kept claiming Julia's behavior is primarily just edginess that I'm misconstruing as having more sinister intentions. But the marriage counselor has pointed out that his repeated invalidation has weighed on our marriage, and its impact will take a while to be lifted, and that the primary way to heave that weight will be to trust my impressions if I believe that something is up. After a particularly heated counseling session, he was agreeing with a lot of the talking points our counselor was making, but he was still insistent that Julia had no feelings for him. I said that given her past behavior, it's very likely she holds some sort of torch for him regardless of whether she admits to it or not. He told me that I was reading too much into it, and I was absolutely livid. It was as though he learned nothing from our sessions. To put it across to him more aggressively, I waved over his stranger in fitness gear, complimenting his muscles. I asked him where he worked out, and when he answered, I told him we could meet up and work out together one day, with a wink. When he left, Tom was enraged and demanding that I explain myself. But I told him that the explanation was right there in my behavior. He was furious, understandably so, but it was the only way he could understand the severity of my pain, to experience it himself. He then shouted that what I did was specifically done to flirt, whereas Julia was likely not intending that at all. I called BS, stating that it's the exact same thing, regardless of intention. If I'm perfectly honest, it frustrates me that even to this point, he's still defending her months down the line. Am I being the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your husband is being intentionally and willfully blind to Julia's behavior and effectively encouraged it. You gave him a taste of how that feels and looks, after trying so many other methods. Not the a-hole, and your husband has a thing for Julia. He always has had a thing for Julia, but she turned him down. He feels torn now because he is with you, but if he acknowledged Julia might want him, then he might be tempted to go to her. Your marriage is pretty much over. Saddest part is Julia will get what she wants and then dump him. OP's husband will destroy an established relationship for ego's sake. Sad. Not the a-hole. What is wrong with these girl best friends antagonizing the girlfriend and the guy remains oblivious and defending behaviors like this? Are men really this dense? And even if they're indeed so emotionally immature they cannot recognize it, how is it okay to dismiss and not recognize their supposed person telling them about their hurting and just doing nothing about it until crap hits the fan? Why? I'm curious what the prank was that broke the camel's back for you. Only because I cannot fathom after all this disrespect she showed you. What else could she do that was even more awful? Good luck, friend. She damaged a dress of mine apparently an accident and was too ashamed or embarrassed to apologize. When she was given a chance, she sent a disgusting present that made it finally sink in for Tom that she was treating me like sneaker residue. Afterwards, Tom has been firmly no contact with her. Not the a-hole, but you will be the a-hole if you stay and keep letting this man turn you into someone who resorts to games and flirting with other men to get your point across. You should not have to beg your husband for understanding, nor should you have to sink to his level to help him understand your pain. He knows it hurts you, and he doesn't care. You should have left your husband years ago. He is having an emotional affair. The fact that Julia plays into it is appalling, but you can only control your relationship with him. The longer you stay, the more it affirms to him that you will tolerate him letting his relationship with another woman destroy your marriage. Julia is no longer in the picture, luckily. She's went with a whimper rather than a bang, but the damage still lingers. You're absolutely right there. It's something we've discussed in counseling numerous times. It's not something that I plan to do on a bi-weekly basis. Turning on the coquette is charm at all, but I felt like Tom needed a context of how that behavior from a woman would when it's not going his way, if you know what I mean. In a way, I think you're not giving him enough credit for his awareness of your feelings. You raised the issue several times and explained that it upset you. He hand-waved your concerns and refused to actually hear what you were saying. You didn't need to show him anything that he already knows. He had all the information and decided that banter was more important to him than his wife feeling insecure in your marriage. Julia would have never been able to humiliate you if your husband had taken action and set boundaries with her long ago. He enjoys the attention. The only reason he is upset now is not because he has seen how hurt you are. It's because he had a taste of the humiliation and disrespect that you've been dealing with for months. He is selfish and does not respect your feelings. Update. Am I the a-hole for respecting my late wife's wishes about keeping her family out? Original story. My wife unfortunately passed away last year when our daughter was only 3 months old. It was very difficult to get through, but my little girl and I are keeping it together. My daughter is 16 months now, and there's been pressure from my wife's sister to let her side of the family see my daughter. The issue is, my wife had absolutely no contact with her family since she was 18. So 16 years of not seeing them. Her home life was something she never wanted to talk about. It always made her upset, so I never pushed her to tell me. All I know is that they were manipulative and abusive in some form. She left as soon as she was 18, changed her last name, and never spoke to them again. 4 years ago, she got into contact with her older sister, and she's the only person my wife allowed into our lives. By that, I mean we met through video chat, but never actually in person. We still maintained contact after my wife passed, and we met a couple times before and during my wife's funeral. My sister-in-law called me a few weeks ago. She mentioned her parents would really like to meet their granddaughter and want to start over. They didn't attend my wife's funeral because they knew she wouldn't want them to be there. One thing my wife always made clear is that she did not want them near our daughter. Ever. I told my sister-in-law this. Well, she got very upset. She said it's been years, and yes, her parents were awful people. Again, won't say exactly what they did, but losing their daughters made them reflect on things. And they want to meet my daughter since my wife never gave them that chance. She's still trying to convince me, and so far I've said no. Each time I just feel more and more bad for denying them. But it's what my wife wanted. Her parents found my Facebook. Pretty sure sister-in-law might have told them, and I've gotten dozens of messages begging me to let my daughter know her mom's side of the family. and I should keep her from knowing her grandparents for past mistakes. None of them will leave me alone, and sister-in-law said a few times that I may be grieving losing a wife, but to have some empathy for them losing a child. Because right now, I'm being too heartless for denying them the chance to meet the only piece of my wife they have left. I am at my wit's end with this, because I am not sure if I'm being a-hole or not. I don't know the whole reason why my wife never wanted to see them again. Even if I did though, I'd still like to honor her wish. The way they are being, however, makes it hard not to wonder if I am. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not a a-hole. All I know is they were manipulative and abusive in some form. The best prediction of future behavior is past behavior. None of them will leave me alone. I'm at my wit's end with this because I am not sure if I'm being a-hole or not. You are getting a glimpse of their manipulative tactics. One thing my wife always made clear is that she did not want them near our daughter. Ever. Honor her wish. If the family really didn't attend a funeral to respect her wishes, I'm sure they'd do the same here. Don't let them near your daughter ever, OP. And talk to a lawyer. The death of a parent can be grounds for grandparents' rights. Do not even answer. Not answering is a response, and many times better than saying no. You gotta protect your daughter the way your wife tried to protect her and herself. The only thing you know is that they were manipulative, yet your wife could get very upset if her family was mentioned. So imagine all the trauma she had to deal with. Maybe she was the space goat, and that's why her sister defends them. Either way, break contact with the sister too. Does she keep in contact with you out of genuine interest of her nephew/niece, or because she sees that the door could be slightly open to let her parents in, now that the factor didn't want them is dead? What if one day you meet with the sister and suddenly you see two older people with her? They won't let you escape. This is not a coincidence that now they want to be in your lives. They already wanted to insert themselves, and a channel to that was the sister, who has probably given them a lot of information and photos you may have shared with her. This sister-in-law is fighting her parents to fight for them now, and the fact that neither she nor your wife told them exactly why your wife went no contact is terrifying. She's crossing boundaries left and right. She's shown you who she is, so believe her and cut her off. Not an a-hole. Do not let them have anything to do with your daughter. The last thing you want is to allow them to have a relationship with your daughter. And then after a while, you see exactly why your wife didn't want anything to do with them. Because depending where you live, if they have an established relationship with your daughter, they can go for grandparents' rights. As of right now, they have no grounds. Cut the sister-in-law off too. She's just giving you a taste of how toxic the rest of your wife's family are. Protect your child. Thank you for the advice. With everything on my plate, it's just been so overwhelming, and now this whole situation. I want to be able to honor my wife's wishes, whatever the reason was that made her cut all contact with them. And now for the update. Thank you everyone for all the lovely comments and support. I was really worn down with this whole ordeal, so all your input was so very appreciated. There were a lot of you that expressed your concerns about what my wife's family's intentions were and warned me about taking precautions to keep my daughter safe. I have taken these into consideration and have made steps to ensure they have no access to any information that could disclose our location. And yes, in the end, I did decide it was best to cut off all contact, not only with my wife's parents, but her sister too. I tried to get through to her many times about why I'd like to respect my wife's call on this since she knew her family best and what they did. Despite all the reassurance that her parents have changed, she still refused to actually say what went down. So that was not all convincing for me. Once I blocked them all, I was getting calls from different numbers the following days. I sent one final message to her sister stating they're never allowed near me or my daughter, and if they ever tried to come harass us, I will get authorities involved. Since then, it was radio silence for the last couple weeks, but I decided to play it safe a few days ago and changed my phone number. I've also deleted my Facebook since I don't use it that often, but I've put my other social media accounts on private. Got many great suggestions from many of you about how to make sure they have absolutely no access to my daughter, so I really appreciate that. I've saved a few of these comments in case I need some extra tips in the future as my daughter gets older and starts school. Since I last posted and have caught contact, I feel like I can finally breathe. You have no idea how stressful and draining the whole thing was for me. So really, thank you all for the help. I've been more at peace putting this all behind me and focusing on my beautiful little girl. Just wanted to leave this update since I know there was a lot of concern about how this would all play out. Thanks again, internet strangers. You can tell you did the right thing because they were already bringing a lot of bad energy without them being in yours or your daughter's life yet. And now never. You have no idea how stressful and draining the whole thing was for me, so really. So very true. My God, didn't realize just how exhausted it truly was until after I completely blocked them off. Please tell me you have a will and a plan if, God forbid, anything happens to you. These people have shown themselves to be untrustworthy in concerns to your child. Oh, absolutely. We already had one prepared before my wife passed. My daughter's godparents, my sister and her husband, would be the ones to look after her. I remember reading your original post, and I'm happy to hear that you worked it out. Based on the way your sister-in-law was deflecting the question of what happened, I think the reason why your late wife went no contact and why she never told you would absolutely justify keeping your child away from them. The possibilities are endless, but all progressively worse. If you know if the authorities were involved or other people in your late wife's life that would have an idea, it might be worth it to look into it, / get a private investigator, just so you have that peace of mind. Regardless, you made the right decision, and best wishes. I've thought about that. But part of me isn't sure if I'd feel better or worse knowing what happened and what exactly it was that my wife had to live with in silence. I'm still thinking about it. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my sister-in-law back in my home after she found out a family member was dying, caused my cat's disappearance, and laughed about it? Right before lockdown, I invited my brother and his wife, my sister-in-law, over for dinner. We just gotten a new cat who was kiddish and still adjusting. We made a little nest for the cat in our laundry room. The room is an exterior door which we keep closed and locked 100% of the time. The cat loved the laundry room because of the warmth and the darkness / quiet. I introduced my sister-in-law to the cat. Then we went to have dinner in the dining room. My sister-in-law got a distressing call from someone on her side of the family about a dying relative. She was upset. She went into the laundry room to take the call. Upon hearing the news that the family member was about to receive last rites, she unlocked the exterior door and went outside to get fresh air, leaving the door wide open. Our cat darted out the door. We haven't seen him since. My children were heartbroken at the loss of their cat. At first, I was in a place of just talking it up to that's life. After all, my sister-in-law had just received a very upsetting call. I didn't blame her for having a strong emotional reaction. But a few months into lockdown, she started making jokes about the incident. She laughed it off when I asked her to stop because the loss of our cats was upsetting. The jokes have continued, and I've made a decision that she won't be welcome in our household until she apologized for joking about the incident. My brother's pretty mortified, but says he doesn't want to get in the middle of it. My kids don't really care one way or the other because they're not a huge fan of her. She started complaining to other family members though, so I have to know. Reddit, am I the a-hole for banning her from the household until she apologizes for her jokes? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. That's horrible. What exactly was the funny part of that incident? You losing your cat or her family member dying? Exactly. I was wondering the same thing. What is there to joke about? The fact that she's making jokes about the situation makes me wonder if she didn't do it on purpose, opening the door knowing the cat was in the room. Not at a-hole. I get that she was upset at first, and I don't blame her for it. But to make jokes about it, and then to not stop making jokes when asked to stop, that I don't understand. I'm sorry for her loss, and I'm sorry for yours. But she's the a-hole for not apologizing. Not the a-hole. A pet is always to some degree a family member, usually more so to kids involved. Causing the cat to run away is bad, but can be explained with stressful news. Joking about it is heartless and shows a lack of empathy for the kid's situation that would make me reconsider my relationship with her if I was her brother. Not the a-hole. What a heartless person. No empathy or awareness. There's nothing funny about that situation. I can't imagine how she's not recognizing that it was forgiven only because of the grave circumstances. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around my husband's stepsister anymore? My female 33 husband, male 34, has a stepsister, female 34, whose every relationship she has ended up in court. She always claims it's not her fault, but when the facts come out, it doesn't always seem that way. When she was married, she was horrible to her husband, always made fun of him, yelled at him if he didn't do things for her, etc. She'd be condescending to him and would rarely let him go out to have fun. She's very overweight and very unhappy about that. Also, I have learned that she's unhappy that she doesn't have children by now. When we first started dating, my husband used to talk about how she was the worst and hated her and how awful she was. And I would tell him that he should work it out and be nice and be the bigger person. After all, it's his sibling. They since have figured it out. My husband also has a problem where when he gets mad, he gets crazy and will start lying. You can't calm him down. If I don't walk away from it, the lies and outbursts get more and more insane. Recently, my husband was mad. I think it was that I didn't clean when I said I would. He started getting more irate, and after a while falsely claimed that I kicked him and that he was going to call the cops and destroy my life and tell them that I beat him. I did not do this. I left to create space, and because that was a scary situation. He immediately went to his stepsister. They made a plan to continue the lies. She egged him on to divorce me, defriended me in social media to create the story that I shouldn't have access to her info because it's dangerous. She'd never heard of any problems in our relationship before, until this day. No one had. I tried hard to have a good relationship with her, so it was shocking that she immediately was happy and told him what he needed to do instead of giving me the benefit of the doubt. I had to go to my mother-in-law to get my husband to stop and admit what they were doing. He then admitted the lies and also told his stepsister. She said it didn't matter and doesn't change a thing. I believe that she wants my husband to divorce me so that she doesn't have to be the only divorce in the family. She sent him mediators and told him not to speak with me. She egged him on to get a lawyer. She since talked to him on the phone and started making up things like how she sees I'm so cold to him. This isn't true. I've asked our mutual friends and they tell me it's the opposite. I've asked his mom and she said absolutely not. I've told my husband we can work it out, but I'm extremely hurt and feel uncomfortable being around his stepsister knowing that she's trying to create a situation where he leaves me. I have no problem with him being around her. I just would not like to be, especially since neither of them have done anything to apologize about it all. And I now know she's trying to manipulate my marriage. But my husband says that's not an option for me and is angry about that. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around his stepsister anymore and have dinners with her? You're the a-hole for trying to work it out. Why would you stay married to such a person? He's a copy of the sister. Sorry, I might be harsh, but geez, respect yourself. Okay, not the a-hole, but I'm so confused here. Your husband wanted to lie to get you arrested for DV. Lied to his family about it and wanted to divorce you. He has not apologized yet and refused to do the one thing you ask of him to make the relationship work, for you not to have to interact with his sister. But yet, you put all the blame on his sister as if she started all this. The name of this post should read, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around my husband anymore? Not the a-hole. You need to leave him. He is just as toxic. Not the a-hole. I wouldn't be around his sister anymore either. I also wouldn't be around a husband either. I'd be sure to have evidence that they lied and made it all up as well just to be safe. Knowing that your husband would lie and say those things is scary, and you forgiving him could come back to bite you. I'd run far, far away. I do. He does that stuff enough that when he gets that way, I start recording. Even with the recording, he still tried to maintain his lies. Update. Am I the a-hole for being mad that my husband thinks I tricked him with our child's birth certificate? Original post. I want to give some backstory to explain where I am coming from and why this situation is so hurtful for me. My husband and I come from similar backgrounds. Our families were paycheck to paycheck, and not many went to college. We both have degrees and make significantly more than the rest of our respective families. When we got married, I was already a homeowner of a small house and had a car. My husband, however, had a lot of debt, and his credit was trash. It wasn't his fault. He had significant student loans and had frequently had to help his family members with money. He also has ADHD and had mishandled some bills. I was understanding of his situation, but I was also anxious to help him get debt-free so we can have kids without such burdens over us. He was making $80K and I was making $100K. He moved in with me and we split expenses 50-50, except that he didn't have to pay any rent. I fully covered the mortgage and home insurance since he's not on the deed, and I also paid extra into his debt so he can pay it off early. His car loan is in my name and I also cover half of that. I do IT technical support and I got the opportunity to take a job that required 50% travel and paid a lot more. We together decided that I'd do this job for a few years to significantly shore up our savings and pay off a good portion of the debt. I did this job for a little over 2 years till I got pregnant and then took a lower paying job, $120K now, which doesn't require travel. The travel job paid more, but it was so hard on me. I was traveling to the back ends of small towns, where the big warehouses and data centers are located, and the job is physically demanding, pulling cables, moving equipment, working in very cold conditions. I was miserable in this job and ended up with some back problems, but it was a sacrifice for our family. When I was 8 months pregnant, my husband asked for a paternity test. It came out of nowhere. I asked him if he didn't trust me, and he said he did, but because I did so much travel, he just needed some assurance for his peace of mind. He said his family and friends have asked him how he could be so sure of this pregnancy when I have been out of home for so many nights. It really broke my heart that I did so much for this man and did try to protect my assets or my money, and he treats me like this. I got very hormonal and cried about it, so he stopped pressuring me then. Now our son is 3 months old and he's back at it again. He's put his foot down that I need to have the paternity test done and he won't sign the birth certificate otherwise. I told him his name is already on the birth certificate because we are married, and I did a paperwork before they discharged us at a hospital. He didn't realize that would be the case and is furious at me thinking that I tricked him. So here I am stuck married to a man who not only doesn't love me or trust me, but is an idiot. His family is calling me and pressuring me to let him do the test. My family is offended on my behalf, but some mutual friends are saying a test is not a big deal. But it is such a slap in the face after all I have done for him. Am I wrong for how I'm feeling? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not a-hole. Frankly, I would get the paternity test done, but go see a lawyer first and get your finances in order. I would also try and make sure your contributions to his debts up until now are classed as a share of assets. If that's possible, so you don't have to pay anything further to him. But I don't know how these things work. Get the divorce papers sitting ready, and the moment you give the paternity results, hand him the divorce papers also. Then tell him he needs to pack a bag and go live with his parents. That the house is solely in your name, and you will have the rest of his stuff packed up for him. That from now on, the only contact you will have with him will be regarding your baby. That all visits have to be pre-agreed by you or you will not open the door for him. He clearly does not trust you or fully love you to demand this, nor could he have any respect for you. Without trust, respect, and love, there can be no marriage. His actions have made sure you can no longer trust him, and you must certainly have lost the last bit of respect for him. Cut your losses and get a good lawyer. Find one that's known to be an attack dog with a good record of wins. Since you financially supported your ex for most of the marriage and paid off his debts for him, whilst he paid a bare minimum towards the household, see if you can use that to your favor. Refuse to let him have any access or award to your pension. Oh, and since he's so sure you cheated, investigate, as I believe he thinks that as he cheated himself. It's very common when people become suspicious, it's as they have been cheating themselves. Get the test, so when you divorce, he won't be able to quibble about owing child support. Exactly. You have been carrying his butt and let his family get in his head. Hand him divorce papers with the results, and tell him he needs to go stay with his family since he believes them over you. She needs to stop paying for his expenses immediately. Let him deal with his own bills. Take the money and hire a great lawyer for advice to proceed. Take the test and post it everywhere the day he's served with divorce papers. Not a-hole. How about you tell him that you'll get the paternity test, but in exchange you want him to sign a postnup that protects your assets and finances, so he's not entitled to half in the event of a divorce. I fear that this isn't the end, and it's only going to get worse. For example, he may get proof that he's the father, but he may not let go of the idea that you may have cheated while traveling, and he'll continue to baselessly accuse you. That is a really good idea. I'm going to look into this more. Thank you. If he tries to balk you about it, you could even have a cheating clause in it, where he could get X per your lawyer, but otherwise he takes what he brought into the marriage out of it. The cheater clause should go both ways. It's probable he's the one who's been cheating and he's projecting. Yeah, agree. It's a bit suspicious. Either his family has gotten in his ear about, how dare your wife travel so much for work? It's not normal for women. She might be hiding something. Or he is the one who has something to hide and is projecting. Either way, he's being a bad spouse. Now for the update. In my previous post, I had asked about how to deal with my husband wanting a paternity test. We did a test and got the expected results. He wanted to get one that has legal validity, not a home test. It was a lot more expensive and he paid for it. We had to use the agency to swab samples and maintain a chain of custody. I was surprised and bothered that he had this planned, but he covered a high price, and it'd be in my best interest to have a clear, indisputable legal trail, so we went and did that. He'd been over the moon happy since I agreed to do this, and I resent his happiness. He got the STI panel done and that was clean too. He was surprised by my request, but didn't argue about it. He said it's just a test, no big deal. He was a lot more weirded out about a post-nup and flat out refused to cooperate there. I gave up on that because I consulted a lawyer and I can't get much from that anyway. Whatever I have spent on him and his debt is gone and I can't expect anything back. And we are in a community property state. We argued a lot about separating finances, with him accusing me of trying to control him using money. He pointed out that we were a couple years away from him becoming debt-free, and if I leave it all on him, then it'll take him 5+ years. He still does not understand how his showing a lack of trust in me is comparable. He kept arguing that if he were the one with more money, he'd have spent it on me. And for me to use this now makes me a bad partner. He came around and agreed to contributing more to bills after seeing how much my family has turned cold towards him. I am close to my family and they have loved him, but this has made them upset at him. My little sister was outright rude to him, which really got to him. He is the middle child and was frequently teased and bullied by his siblings. My sister was the only relative who loved him like an older brother and doted on him. My words and arguments didn't move him, but he got upset about her icing him out. So now he'll be paying for his own car and contributing to insurance and covering his debt by himself. Still no rent because he simply can't afford it. I wasn't going to ask him to stop supporting his parents, and after all that, there's nothing in his bucket. I wasn't thinking divorce when I wrote the post, and I still don't want it. But I feel like I am falling out of love with this man. Like the scales have fallen from my eyes, and all his faults that I had minimized before stand out glaringly. My mother is fully on my side, but she has advised me to not make any quick decisions. I don't know what I am going to do. He's trying to be helpful and a good partner, but it feels like an act. Whoa, who could have thought accusing your wife of cheating would negatively impact her feelings towards you? And who cares that his wife is upset? His wife's sister was a little mean. Suddenly the sky is falling. When it's just her, she's a hormonal witch. But when a kid suddenly looks at him differently, then maybe it really is him who is the baddie. Outside perspective, I guess. He still does not understand how his showing of lack of trust in me is comparable. I mean, he just thought you might be a cheating whore. No big deal. Exactly. And now he thinks she's a bad partner because she is making him pay his own bills. He's a leech, plain and simple. OP's life would be a far simpler and easier once she cuts him off, and will only have to take care of herself and baby. What he's doing now is just damage control. It's definitely an act. Like your mom said, don't make any hasty decisions, but it sounds like you know exactly where this is headed. Don't stay in a relationship you're not happy with. It's not healthy for you or your child. I'd also advise OP to start saving some rainy day money on his side in case she does end up leaving him. OP definitely deserves better than this. Last story. Update: am I the a-hole for starting the divorce process after finding out my daughter isn't mine? Original post. My life feels like a bad drama show at the moment. For some context, me 33 male and my wife 30 female have been married for 7 years, and what I thought was our daughter is 3. Looking back, this all started after my wife gave birth to her daughter. She suddenly became a lot more affectionate to me, was a lot more active with me in the bedroom. She also made my favorite desserts a lot more often. She's a fantastic baker. I of course didn't suspect anything, since even prior to her pregnancy there were no signs of cheating, but also possibly could be that just didn't look close enough into it. Well, this whole fiasco started 2 weeks ago after a day out with her daughter, and she just sat me down in the evening and came clean about the fact that her daughter wasn't mine. Her waterworks, of course, also started, and apparently it was a guy from the gym, and it lasted a month before he disappeared on her after he found out she was pregnant. Honestly, even typing this now, I feel like crying since I thought I did everything perfectly, but she still cheated. As much as I wish I could say I had a stone face or something, I just started crying, and she tried to comfort me, but I just pushed her away. I felt so disgusted with her. After I had calmed down a bit, I just grabbed my jacket and left for a hotel. And while I was leaving, she just begged and pleaded me to forgive her, and that I was the only father her daughter knew. After crying myself to sleep in the hotel, the next day after I turned my phone back on, I had seen she had blown up my phone, and I didn't read any of it and just blocked her. After having a little bit of breakfast, contacted a lawyer to start the divorce process. And at work, I just asked for some time off, and my boss gave me a month off. By the evening, my mom and sister were calling me on her behalf and were on her side, and that just hurt me even more. While I'm not proud to admit this, I did drink myself to sleep that night. After that night, I started staying with my best friend, and my mom and sister kept spamming and calling me. A few days later, after she probably got the divorce papers, my mom just sent me a long text that, to summarize, was that I should step up and forgive her and not abandon my daughter, and that she would disown me if I went through with the divorce. My sister and mom are against me divorcing her, but my best friend and his wife are saying I have the right to not want to be with her or take care of her kid. I'm split on this. On one hand, I did raise the baby for 3 years. On another, I don't know if I could in the right mind raise the reminder of my wife's affair. Edit, to put some context, my sister is infertile, so I think that's also partly why my mom doesn't want me to continue the divorce, since she will lose her grandchild. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not a-hole. Your wife also lied to you every single day for 3 years. Close to 4. He went through her pregnancy and all that entails, being lied to as well. Who knows how long her affair with Jim Boy was? Could have been a while before he knocked OP's wife up. Tell your mom and sister you will divorce, find a loyal, faithful new wife, have lots of kids. And if they want a relationship with their real grandkids/nieces/nephews, they should shut the heck up and support their son/brother, not the lying cheater adulterer. Or if they don't, you will know, contact the two of them. She said a month, but she's hardly a reliable source of information. Also, it was Bayou Dad that left her due to pregnancy. Sounds like otherwise, she would have left OP. This right here, it sounds like the only reason she's with OP is because her primary plan fell through. OP is not the a-hole, and he's not the backup plan. Ask your sister if she'd raise her husband's affair baby. And ask your mom if that's what she did to your dad and that's why they're supportive of cheating. Yep, and you know their answers. Their answers would be, it's not the same thing. It's never the same thing with these people. Now for the update. Hello everyone. First off, I want to say I'm high on emotion and drunk while typing this, so excuse any writing mistakes. Also, I want to thank everyone that has supported me and sent me nice messages. Now on the update. After seeing a lot of advice, I decided to meet up with my wife in a cafe today. My best friend and his wife were there as well, just in case she tried to pull anything. I'm just going to keep it short. She tried apologizing and I just didn't want to hear it, and asked what I wanted to ask, why she cheated, and if she already had done a DNA test like I suspected. And the reason she gave is the main cause why I'm drunk in my best friend's guest room. She cheated because the guy was attractive, and she made a mistake. Isn't that a bitch? Give someone all you have and one attractive dude comes and she screws you right over. And yes, she has already taken the DNA test and my daughter isn't mine. I'm still gonna take a DNA test for proof in court and as well to just make peace with it. I also blocked my mom and sister and will probably give my mom a visit in the coming week to give her a piece of my mind. Yeah, that's about it. My wife just banged a guy because he was attractive. Ain't that a bitch? Sorry if this isn't the update you wanted to hear, but yeah. Also, to everyone that is planning to save for me to reconcile with her, go F yourself. Unless you know what I'm feeling at the moment, don't take the moral high ground. Stay away from drinking. Moving on and being happy will be the best revenge on your ex. Stay strong. Wish you well. Yeah, getting wasted for a couple of days is not great, but understandable. Don't let it take over your life. I'm honestly with you on this one. I think separating yourself from them, mom and sister, is what I would have done, harsh words included. It's so infuriating how so many women get away with this. Paternity fraud should be a crime. It devastates people's entire lives. Decades wasted raising other man's kids. Jail time should be served. Old school here. How many people actually got away with this before DNA testing became possible? Not the a-hole. Around 10 to 15% in the last century. I watched a documentary about that topic at 90s. They gave this percentage. A story about a man who had 3 sons and daughter. After many years, he found out none of the boys was his. Only daughter. I am female and ashamed how some women can do such a nasty thing. The problem was never you. Cheaters cheat because they have no morals or character and are often entitled narcissists. You could be the most perfect person, hot, does everything right in the world man, and she still would have cheated, simply because she wanted to. Remind your mom that you will probably remarry one day and have biological kids. If she keeps doing what she is doing, remind her she will never have a relationship with them because she isn't supporting you. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom her children aren't mine? Original post. I, 17 female, have 2 younger siblings, 14 female, 13 male. My mother works 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. When she gets off, she goes straight to my grandmother's house or her boyfriend's house and doesn't come home until 10 or 11 p.m. On weekends, she stays out at night. Whenever I ask to go out, which is rare, it's a no. Everyone has to come to my home, but then she complains about me inviting everyone over. I work a part-time summer job. I get paid enough for my needs and to put money aside for my upcoming senior events. When I get paid, I put about 50 to 75% of my money aside and buy whatever I need. I usually have enough to last me till the next time I get paid. My mother and I get paid the same week. She buys food with her first paycheck of the month and I buy food with my second paycheck. My mother buys mostly frozen food, junk food and canned goods. I, on the other hand, buys fruits and vegetables, sometimes snacks. So, about 3 days ago, my mother bought the food she usually bought and left. I put away everything and continued my night. The next night, I went downstairs to find 90% of the food my mother bought was gone. I complained to my mother and she did nothing. I started to crave teriyaki and shrimp fried rice, so that's exactly what I bought. About 45 minutes later, it came and my siblings were complaining about how hungry they were. I told them to tell their mother, not me. A few minutes later, my mother came into my room screaming at me for not buying my siblings dinner. I told her they were her children, not mine, and I don't have to buy them anything. She told me to remember that and walked out. I shrugged my shoulders and continued to eat. Yesterday, my mother took my siblings and I to the mall. I went on my own as usual and bought some pink Crocs. My sister found me and told me that my mother said that I have to buy her something. I told her I didn't have to buy her anything because she isn't my child. She left and told my mother. My mom called me and just whispered, yelled at me, and hung up. I checked out and went to meet back up with my mom at our usual spot. After about 15 minutes, I called my mom to see where they were. She told me that she left and to find my own way home. I had my best friend take me home. When I got in, no one had said a word to me. Am I the a-hole for saying what I said? Now for the top comments before the update. Not the a-hole. Don't raise your kids. Get out quick. I'm hoping that's what the 50% to 75% of the paycheck she's saving is for. Not the a-hole. Hopefully the mother has zero access to their bank account, etc. Otherwise, she may clear that out to prevent her built-in free babysitter to leave. She should definitely make sure her mom can't take her money she's putting away. I had to buy a lockbox in high school to keep all my savings in for moving out because my mom and stepdad had a habit of taking money from my siblings and I bank accounts whenever they needed extra cash. Yep, my mom was a high school teacher for 35 years. She held money for a number of her under 18 students. We jokingly called it the envelope system, but she literally had an envelope with each student's name on it and a written record of their deposits and withdrawals. She kept the envelopes in a drawer in our house. It was a lifesaver for some of those kids because the money would have been stolen from them otherwise. Either because it would have been taken from their rooms or bank accounts would have been raided since they're usually joined with a parent when a kid is under 18. Then, when they were 18, she'd let them know how to open a bank account for themselves. Some of them genuinely didn't know, and when possible made sure it was at a different bank than their parents. Shaking my head, I can't believe some parents are such piece of garbage that they'd steal from their own children. Not today, Hall. Report your mom to CPS for abandoning you at the mall if you think it will help, because your mom is being extremely neglectful. Opie should have a leg to stand on for an abandonment case because there's gotta be surveillance all over that joint. Update. Thank you all so much for the feedback. I wanted to clear a couple things up first. 1. This hasn't been going on since I was little. It started about 1 year ago after I lost my older brother. 2. I have a direct deposit, so right when I get paid, I put it into my digital savings account. 3. My nearest family is about 5 to 6 hours away, so besides my best friend, I wouldn't have any other place to go. 4. I apologize for not clearing this up before. The grandmother house she goes to after work is her mother, not my dad's. I really don't consider her families anymore since she did some unspeakable things. I decided not to call CPS because I don't want to split up my siblings. But my paternal aunt and grandmother were already flying in to surprise visit us. They called my mother as soon as they landed. She is afraid of them, so she tried to make the house look as clean and neat as possible. When they came, they completely ignored my mom and went straight to us. When my mom went upstairs, I immediately burst into tears. I took my aunt into my room and told her everything that has better going on for the past year. She quickly got my grandmother. They both berated my mother, calling her unfit, a disappointment, and etc. While my mom was crying in the corner of the living room, my aunt gathered up all of our important documents and put them in her dashboard. My grandmother told my mother we're leaving with them for the week, and after their vacation down here, we're permanently staying with them. My grandmother owned a house not too far from where I live that I was not aware of. If I knew, I most definitely would have told her. I'll keep you all posted. Thank you so much. Your older brother was probably in your shoes before you lost him. It's difficult to see things from other people's perspective till you're in the same situation. I was thinking this. It kinda makes me feel sad because probably all his efforts wasn't seen. At least Opie is going to have things a little less complicated now. I really hope her family helps them. Glad your aunt was smart and gathered all of your important documents. Just out of curiosity, was your mom always like this, or did she become like this after your older brother passed away? Sorry for your loss, by the way. Obviously, you don't have to answer. My mom apparently changed a lot after we lost my oldest sibling, but I was a baby, so I'm going on the words of my sisters. It took my mom years to get out of that depression/anger funk. I'm just glad you have your aunt and grandmother to step up. And it's 100% understandable why you didn't call CPS because you knew they were coming for a visit. I hope everything works out for you and your siblings, Opie. I was wondering the same because I was 17 when my older brother died and it made my mother go crazy. She ran off with the man she had just met, got married in a month of knowing the person, and stopped talking to everyone else in the family. It was hard, and I had to move in with my older sister who already had her own kids to take care of. I didn't hear from her until COVID hit. I was around 21 because she was in the hospital clinging to life. She said it wasn't until she was laying in that bed fighting for her life that she realized that she let death cause such a rift that her other kids wouldn't have known until after if she were to die. I just hope Opie knows they are not alone and that life will get easier, especially now that they have a more stable place to live. Am I the a-hole for cutting my portion sizes in half at the dinner table after being served heaping portions by my mom? Growing up, my family and I were all fat. They never taught me about good nutrition, portion sizes, and the only exercise I got was gym class. So, of course I was used to all this, right? Especially since a lot of my friends were the same. When I went to college, I was exposed to a lot of new things, and I learned quickly that my family's habits weren't healthy. For years, they always said the weight was genetic. When I'd go to lunch with my friend group at the dining hall, I started noticing that my portion sizes were huge against theirs. I cut down my portions, and I joined them doing yoga and stuff. Naturally, I ended up losing some weight, like size 22 to tight size 12. I really like the way I look. You can see my collarbones. But I ended up having to go back home during summer break, and I've been surprised at just how different I feel from my family. When we would order pizzas 2 years ago, we'd basically each get our own, and it would be gone that night. We had pizza nights when I got home, and I ate 2 slices and that was it. Last week, my mom made her special lasagna. I made a size salad to go with it. She always plates the meals and then sets the big dish in the middle so we can have more. Well, the piece she gave me was way too big. So, I cut it in half and served myself more salad. My sister immediately got on my case about how rude that was to mom because she worked hard on the lasagna. I said that I couldn't eat that much food in one sitting, and she scoffed and said that didn't used to be a problem. I said yes, but if you can't tell, things have changed a little. She got in my face and said that I brought my college BS home with me, and I should have left it at the door and ate like a normal person. I told her that I was eating like a normal person, that everyone I knew at school eats like this, and that we're the abnormality. That is not normal to be so stuffed at the table you're in pain. My brother chimed in, saying that I just gained the weight back, so stop pretending I'm better than they are. But I don't think I am at all. I'm no better than anyone. But I also don't think I'm wrong for sticking to smaller portions instead of being stuffed all the time. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You do you. You can tell your mom that the food is delicious without eating 3 servings. And you can tell your brother and sister to pound sand. Nothing like a little sibling projection, eh? That's what happened when they said Opie thought she was better than them. If in their head, eating less makes them assume someone thinks they are better than them, it kind of shows how they see themselves. They are extremely jealous and are trying to force Opie back into the fat fold. They don't like it that she's lost weight because it shows that it's not genetics, and they are a bunch of gluttons who want to keep you down with them. How dare you change for the better? You are supposed to still be exactly like them, and brother blames it on college. Extra jealous? Rather than the fact that your family lies about being fat and want you to stay that way to make them feel better. Not the a-hole. Crabs in the bucket. Not the a-hole. Nothing wrong with healthier eating habits. Trying to shame a sibling into something that's unhealthy? That's the true transgression here. My stepdad does this. If I pass on a piece of cake or take a smaller portion, I get the, "What are you, on a diet?" As if my eating choices at 36 years old makes a difference to him. The best is when it's the same people who used to fat shame you. My family's all around average size. I was the heaviest, developed an eating disorder from all the comments, and dropped a little under half my body weight. So now I'm extremely small. Still get comments. You just can't win sometimes. Lol. But something I've learned, especially from having such an up and down relationship with food and following particular diets over the years, vegan, paleo, etc., is some people really take offense because they think you're judging their habits by making your own decisions about yours. I always tell people I don't give a damn what anyone else eats, and that's how it really should be. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for teaching my biological daughter my native language but not my stepkids? My partner and I got married about 2 years ago, and the same year we found out we were having a baby. As we're both over 40, she was very welcome as my partner has 3 children from a previous marriage. The issue comes now. My daughter is really learning to speak, and I speak to her only in my native language. I moved to our current country, where my partner and stepkids are native speakers/born here, and so I speak both my home language and theirs fluently. But I want my daughter to be able to speak to her family who only speak my native language when we go back to my home country. I also want to keep that part of her heritage alive since she won't be as connected to it as the other half growing up here. My stepkids, 11, 8, and 4, who are obviously feeling threatened by the new baby and her place in their life, have begun to have a problem with this. My partner is also sensitive to it and the distress of the other children. They feel like I should also be teaching them my native language and not have something special with just my biological daughter. I disagree. My reasons are this. I'm not teaching my daughter the language. She's acquiring it. It's a different mechanism for learning a language. We don't sit down and have lessons. She just learns as I speak to her throughout the day and do the occasional baby flashcards. I don't think I have the skill to teach a language. I'm not great at teaching anyway, and I'd have to do some learning myself. I'm a parent to 4 kids now. In between homework, after-school clubs, and the other lessons the children have, I just don't know when we would have the time. This on top of my own work, and the fact that the little one of course requires more attention. And this is maybe where I'm the a-hole. I think the other kids will have to eventually learn that some things will be special between me and my biological daughter. They have 3 parents, when she just has my partner and me, and her connection to my family back home will always be stronger. And I think having just some time with me alone is fine as well. I offered to find a class for the children to take to learn the language and help them with their homework, and talk to them at home, but they refused. They feel like it's unfair that I'm unwilling to share this part of myself with them. / why don't I care if they can speak to my family? / why didn't I teach them or find a class before the baby was born? But I honestly just didn't think they were interested. My native language is not nearly as useful as theirs. They would basically only be using it to communicate with me and my family. It's become a real issue in my house because I refuse to stop speaking to my daughter this way. I'd also refuse to start giving language lessons when a professional could do it instead. My partner hasn't gotten to the point of demanding that I stop speaking to my daughter yet, but there is tension. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I should mention that I do speak to all the children / I'm of course willing to include them in anything we do. They know very basic words and phrases. Hi, how are you? But they want me to sit down and teach them in a more structured way because they want to be able to communicate at age-appropriate levels. This is impossible for them to do if they learn the same as my daughter, because she's still a baby and learns just from me speaking to her without requiring studying and lessons. I speak to them and teach them basic words, especially the 4-year-old, alongside their sister and on their own. But it's frustrating for them because they do not want me to speak to them like they're babies, but cannot understand when I speak normally as I do to my daughter either. They want to move past basic colors and animals and simple sentences, but it's simply not something I can do. Which is why I have suggested formal learning that I help with and reinforce at home. I would be happy for everyone in my household to speak my native language. The language isn't what I considered special. It's the connection to my home. My stepchildren do not have that in the same way that my daughter does, but it does not mean I don't want them to learn or have a connection with that part of me as well. No a-holes here. Learning a language as a baby or as a child is totally different process. The 4-year-old might be able to pick it up by hearing you. The other 2 will need classes, which she offered. You're not comfortable teaching them, which is understandable. I've seen somewhere that our brain is very able to easily learn new language until the age of 7. The 8-year-old might still be able to learn it without too much difficulties. I recall reading a study of immigrants to the US. Children up to the age of 11 were able to acquire accentless, quotes because everyone has an accent, American English. Older kids could acquire fluent English but with their original accent. However, these children were completely immersed in English all day, every day. I don't see the OP being able to do that at home with the step kids. I guess the OP could try simply stopping speaking English to them, but that might not go down too well.